Hi, I'm Sashwati Sarkar, and you're watching The Times of India. For thousands of Indian students dreaming of Canada, 2025 has brought more questions than answers. With visa caps, housing crunches, stricter work rules, and a diplomatic chill between India and Canada, it's a lot to process. Understandably, many students and parents are feeling anxious and uncertain. To help us cut through the confusion and get some real clarity, we are joined by someone who knows the landscape inside out. Dr. Vivek Goel, Vice-chancellor and President, Waterloo University, Canada. He is someone who has worked closely with Indian students over the years and understands both the ambition and the anxiety that comes with choosing to study abroad right now. Welcome to the show, Dr. Goel. So,
Thank you.
Dr. Goel, with the recent changes in Canada's immigration policies, including the suspension of the student direct stream program and the introduction of study permit caps, how are these developments affecting Indian students aspiring to study in Canada?
So, one thing that's important to understand is there are many different types of post-secondary education in Canada. And the policies that you referred to have had an effect on most of our institutions, certainly in terms of the number of study permits that we're able to get. But the changes to postgraduate work permits, some of the other privileges that came with them are applied differentially. So a university like University of Waterloo, our students are still able to earn credits towards postgraduate work permits. And in fact, they are very likely to get permanent residency in Canada. And we had a recent study that showed they actually have earnings that are greater than Canadian students from the same program. So the opportunities for students from India for a university like Waterloo still remain very strong, even though there have been changes in the programs that might be offered by colleges or some of the smaller universities.
Right. So, there is actually no significant impact of the suspension of the SDS program, you mean to say, right?
Not not for an institution like ours. The broader policy changes have introduced, as you noted, study permit caps. And so that has affected us, particularly with respect to our graduate programs. But even there, the allocation of study permits that we have is a reasonable number, so we have enough space. Our bigger issue, and this is part of why I'm doing this interview, is making sure that people understand the spaces are still there and the opportunities are still there with an institution like the University of Waterloo.
So, Canada has implemented stricter regulations on study permits and work permits for temporary residents. How is the University of Waterloo adapting its recruitment strategies in the light of these changes?
So we've been involved in recruiting students in India for many, many years. And actually, from the very founding of the university, it was a very popular university because it was engineering oriented. So we had many students coming from India. In recent years, we've continued to work with guidance counselors in schools. We have representatives in country that go to many different events, school visits, meetings with students and partners. We've had events ourselves. I recently visited India last November, December of 2024 to meet with families, to meet with prospective students. So we are trying to ensure that our story is told as frequently as possible and as many places as possible.
Right. Given the diplomatic tensions between India and Canada, have you observed uh, any change in the application trends or sentiments among Indian students considering the University of Waterloo or other Canadian universities?
Yeah, and certainly, in the last few years, we've obviously had some significant tensions between our governments, and this has had an impact on the interest of prospective students in Canada relative to other countries. And we have seen some decline in the applications coming in. But again, one of the things that we have seen, and when I visited India recently, I saw and heard quite frequently is people see this as tensions between our governments, not between our people and our institutions like universities. And I think the desire to continue the partnerships, uh, you know, I'm my family is from India. We have so many people of Indian origin in Canada, the connections are much deeper than the tensions between our governments or between the prime ministers have been.
Right. So, no visible impact on Indian students or the application trends from India.
No, I would say that there has been a decline in the applications, but I think we can certainly reverse that trend as we continue to rebuild the relationships.
Now, moving on to my next question. With the Canadian government's emphasis on diversifying international student recruitment beyond traditional markets like India, how is the University of Waterloo approaching this directive?
So this is something that we have always been focused on. We like to recruit students from right around the world, and first and foremost, because it makes for a very engaging and enriching experience for all of our students to have the opportunity to learn with individuals that lived in different parts of the world. And so we very much welcome the desire to diversify markets. And certainly we're looking at many parts of the world, other parts of Asia, Africa, to bring opportunities for more international students. But having said that, India has historically been one of our largest source countries, particularly for graduate students in programs like engineering and computer science. And I think it is one of the, it is the largest country by population. We have students that have learned in English. And so India represents the strongest market there is for Canadian universities. And we will continue to have India as a significant market, even as we diversify into other countries.
While it comes to Asian countries, which country is the biggest competitor of India when it comes to studying in Canada?
Well, traditionally, the biggest country has been China. That for many years, uh, the Chinese government, as it was building its own capacity for higher education, encouraged students to seek out opportunities abroad. And it continues to be a very large market for us. But as we're looking forward, we see significant opportunities in countries like Vietnam, Thailand, and Philippines, which have very large populations, which particularly growing middle class, where there's a strong desire for families to see their children get foreign credentials.
So, with the rising cost of living and the housing shortages in Canada, what support systems does the University of Waterloo have in place to assist international students in finding affordable accommodations?
So at the University of Waterloo, we provide a guarantee of housing for all first year students. And now this year, we've also offered this to all incoming PhD students. So that means that students coming don't have to worry about uh, trying to find a place while they're still overseas. They can come here, land at the airport, come to the university, and move right into a residence. As they move into upper years, we have housing advisors that can help students in finding affordable housing. There are many different options available in our region. We're very much a university town. We have another university and a college, and so there's quite a strong student housing district. And so there's many different forms of affordable housing available. Um, our student association has a program that allows for transit passes to be included within their student fees. So if students want to look at opportunities that are a little further away from the campus that might be more affordable, they have free bus passes to be able to get to campus very quickly.
Right. Also, I would like to know a little bit about the institutional grants that University of Waterloo offers. I mean, beyond the scholarships that the government scholarships and other privately funded scholarships, does University of Waterloo have its own institutional grants for students, for international students?
So I'll back up to, I think one of the unique features of the University of Waterloo is our cooperative education programs. And so our students in most programs have the opportunity to gain work experience throughout their education. So in engineering, as an example, it's a 5-year engineering program, but there are 6 4-month work terms. So by the time a student graduates, they'll have worked for 24 months, 2 years of the program. And these are paid placements. The average earnings are $16,000 per work term. And students get opportunities to work with about 8,000 employers right around the world, and including the opportunity to go back and work in India if they so choose. So our students are actually able to cover their cost of living in Canada through the earnings from that program. We also do offer scholarships for students with incoming grades that are at a higher level. And for our graduate students, we provide support for those that are in MSc and PhD programs.
Right. So, Dr. Goel, the postgraduate work permit program has seen several changes recently. How do you think these changes impact international students, particularly those from India?
So the students, again, that are coming to the University of Waterloo, because we have university degree programs, are still entitled to receive a postgraduate work permit. And in fact, um, under the new rules, those that do a master's degree actually qualified for a 3-year postgraduate work permit. So, and all of our undergraduate students, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts students, Bachelor of Engineering, will qualify for a postgraduate work permit. So the changes there have primarily affected students in college programs in areas that are not in high demand in Canada. But our university programs still have postgraduate work permits attached to them.
So, when you say that students who are in programs that are not high in demand have been affected, so what are those programs, if you could specify a bit?
Yeah. So we don't have any of those programs at the University of Waterloo.
No, I'm talking about the larger picture and other,
The one example of an area was there were programs in project management, and a 1-year diploma in project management. Uh, and with those programs, it was possible to get a postgraduate work permit. So many students who already had a degree in India were enrolling in programs like project management in different areas of business, and then qualifying for the postgraduate work permit. So the federal government has eliminated the ability to have a postgraduate work permit for that type of program.
right. Given the ongoing visa uncertainties and frequent policy changes, what kind of contingency plans or support systems are Canadian universities offering to help international students, especially those from India? How can Canadian universities, not only the University of Waterloo, I mean, help students stay on track with their academic plans?
So again, we offer a very strong suite of programs to support all of our students, and particularly our international students. And just this year, we've created a new international student experience center, which brings all of our resources in one place. So it's very easy for students to access counseling on their courses, on their programs, but also on immigration matters, visa issues, how to find work in their co-op placements or as they graduate, any assistance that they need with things like banking, transportation, and most importantly, creating communities so that students can learn from each other. New students learning from upper year students. So we build these peer support communities. We have faculty advisors that are able to help students in navigating the concerns that they may have for programs. And we also ensure that international students have opportunities to find work on our campus which gives them an opportunity to learn how the university works and how they can further their career.
No, I was not asking this question in the particular to the Waterloo University. I wanted to have a broader picture of the whole of Canada. Like what are other universities? What do in your experience, in your peer experience, what do you see other universities doing to ensure that students are on track amidst this ongoing visa uncertainties and frequent policy changes?
So, so again, I think the other universities would be doing many of the same things to support the students on their campuses. I think collectively we are working through our association, Universities Canada, to advocate with the federal government and the responsible ministry to ensure that the policy changes are being communicated in a clear manner, and most importantly, to create a stable policy environment so students aren't seeing changes as frequently as we've seen in the last few years. Because I think that's been the biggest source of confusion and uncertainty for our students is the constant changes that they're not able to make plans for their future. So collectively, I think universities are really working very hard with the federal government to clarify that policy environment.
What changes do you expect to see in the study abroad space with the new government coming in?
We're hopeful that the new government is going to recognize that international students are very important for the country as a whole. Um, i- i- the movement of international students has always allowed for exchange of ideas, for development of new policies, products, processes. You know, the research shows that the majority of the founders of our deep tech companies can be international students. The people who innovate and develop new ideas. So having international students come into our country is enriches our country. When those international students go back to their home country or move somewhere else, they become bridges for Canada to those other parts of the world. And so it enriches our country, it enriches the country that they've come from. And so we hope that the Canadian government can see the good opportunities that exist with international students. We certainly did have a situation, as we saw in the past few years, where the international student program in Canada was being abused by some of the institutions and creating very unfortunate experiences for those students and their families. That was not happening in Canadian universities such as University of Waterloo. And we hope that the Canadian government will see the differences and that we can work together with the Canadian government to rebuild the brand of Canada as a destination for study abroad.
So, coming to my last question, uh, considering the recent policy shifts and geopolitical factors, what advice would you offer Indian students who are currently applying or planning to apply to Canadian universities? I mean, in the light of the new government coming in the light of the geopolitical tensions, in the light of the housing shortage that we see, and do you see the housing shortage problem being reduced with the new government? I mean, considering all these factors, what advice would you offer Indian students?
So, first of all, I would just say that the pressures on housing have already been reduced because of the caps that have been put in place in the past year. And so, again, in a community like ours, we do not have the pressures on housing that were present 2 years ago, which people might have heard about. So, I would certainly encourage prospective students to do their research, to understand the different types of post secondary institutions that are in Canada, and to do their research on institutions like the University of Waterloo and learn about the robust supports. As I mentioned, we provide a guarantee of housing for our first year students. So that's a worry that students should not have. Our team is available to answer any questions. You can go on the website and see how you can contact them. And I would encourage students as they do their research and make their decisions to get their applications in as early as possible, because there are more steps to the process now because of the additions around the visa application process. And so give yourself as much time as possible. There are lots of people that you can connect it with. And we are present in India. We will be having events throughout the year. And so I would encourage students to reach out and connect with us and learn about what might be happening in their region.
Once again, this is very specific to your university. I wanted a larger uh, picture. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it would be, first of all, I think it's really important that you do research on every institution that you're considering, and the research on what is happening in Canada. I can't predict what the new government's going to do. It'll take some time.
Yeah, yeah. It's too early to comment. I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would encourage, because I think in the course of the next few months, we will see some changes in the policies around this, I would hope. And so certainly encourage you to look at what's happening in Canada and to do your research on all the institutions that you might be considering applying to.
Is there any underrated course which you think students must apply for, but they, I mean, kind of ignore it in Canada? Not in the University of Waterloo alone, but in Canada. Do you see a new discipline emerging which has the potential of attracting a wider base of international students?
Yeah, I think any courses that are looking at the application of new technologies into different areas. And so I'll give an example of health informatics. So that is the use of data and computers in healthcare. Because we see many students are interested in applying to engineering or computer science. And
That's
so
the traditional choice.
that's the
That's the
traditional choice.
traditional
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. But if you go into health informatics, you'll have computer science, you'll have some engineering, or biomedical engineering would be another example. But you're also going to have get a unique set of skills in how you apply that in the healthcare field. And I think there'll be a very broad range of opportunities globally for people with the leading edge skills and applications like that. And so any area that has a combination. Another example I would give is we have a program in sustainability and financial management. And through that, you get a degree in accounting, but you also learn about sustainability and how to account for carbon offsets and things such as that. And it gives you a very unique positioning that you can work in the field of accounting, but with this expertise in sustainability. We have business and environment program. I would really encourage students to look at these programs that are at the cross section of different areas, because people think of the traditional, I will be in business or I will be in engineering. But when you're looking at the combination of areas, I think you're going to get a very unique set of skills with some very unique opportunities as the world is changing around us.
Dr. Goel, thanks a lot for your time and inputs today. And I'm sure this entire conversation will be an eye opener to our audience.
Thank you.